Today we are celebrating the hymn of joy. Joy because Christ is nearby. Christ is in the vicinity. Christ is with us, close at hand. This is the meaning of the liturgy today on this third Sunday of Advent. That's why it is called Gaudete, rejoice. Why? Because we are closer to Him. Closer not only to celebrate in our social life the birth of Christ, but closer because we know, we understand what His truth, what His birth means to all of us. And so, having heard the words from the Old and the New Testament, and having heard His word now, we know that the questions we will be asking, He is ready to answer them. The perennial questions that people in the time of John asked: what shall we do now? We have the news, we have the truth, we know that Christ is here amongst us. What is our part? What shall we do? This is the question that was put to John in his time when people heard that he is the Messiah, that the Messiah was come. And we find three kinds of people that have asked the same question. What shall we do? The crowd in general was the first. Then we have the tax collectors and then the soldiers. What did the general question was? John answers each of them according to their way of life. To the ordinary people, he tells them, share what you have with clothes, food. If you have enough, share with those who do not have. And this is the general message that we receive here during Christmas. We need to share our time, our money, our food, our clothes with those people who don't have. This what brings joy to us. And then to the tax collectors, there was also a message. They had a very bad reputation in the time of Jesus, as they have today, I think, anyhow. The tax is nothing new. The Romans used to farm out the right to collect taxes to private individuals, and so they were free to collect as much money as they want, but very often this had gone too far, their own deficits, to get back that money and make profit, besides brought extortion most of all. And so the message that was given, not to extort, not to go to extortion, not to take more than what is due to them. And I think we would need also a John the Baptist today who would give advice to people who go to extortion, to people who corrupt, to people, greedy people whom we know that live next to us and who go to extremes to make more money without any code of ethics and moral behavior. And so even to the soldiers who were not popular in the time of Jesus, the advice John gives sounds just as relevant today as it did at that time. No intimidation, no extortion. Be content with your official pay. How many people who work are content with the pay that they receive? We need more and more. And that more is not enough. This is the major sin that we are living today. Greed. And so the message, if we need to have peace in our heart and joy in our heart, we need to, after asking this question, what am I doing with my life? I am living on this general trend of people around me. Am I following their footsteps? Am I greedy? Or I am sharing? Or I am living according to what God is calling me to do? I want to give two little examples today. They happen to be two Americans. One of them is Dorothy Day. Dorothy Day was a fantastic figure, personality, in the time of depression in the United States, just before the war. And she was an atheist. She had no religion. She was brought up as an atheist. But then she started asking questions. What is my life? What is the meaning of my life? What should I do with my life? Is this the life that I need to live or not? And she lived this life. Then she happened to pass by a church where there were cloister nuns there, and she used to hear them recite the rosary, and she used to stay with them and say the rosary. Then, on a suggestion of one of the nuns, she started reading The Imitation of Christ, which is a 15th century classic. This book is a book that has been read just like the Bible. In fact, it is the second most translated book in the world, The Imitation of Christ, by Kempis. She read this book and she started to have answers to the questions of the meaning of life. Then she had a relationship and she had an abortion too. But then she had a steady relationship with someone she loved and she started a new life. She got pregnant, and when the birth of her daughter, she was so much overjoyed by the great gift that God has given her in her life, this baby. When she saw this baby looking at her with those innocent eyes, she exclaimed, "For this great joy, I need to thank somebody." And from that onwards, she started searching in the Catholic Church. She was baptized, she baptized her daughter, but then that wasn't enough. When she became Catholic and she heard the Word of God, she also put the question, what shall I do more? And by doing more, she saw so many people living in depression, alcoholics, people living in the street, poor people without work. And she started the great movement, the Catholic Worker, in the United States, which was a great movement still flourishing today, where she would help people in need and destitute people. A great saint. In fact, probably when she was very young, she never thought that she would be canonized as a saint. In fact, her canonization to be a saint is on its way in the Vatican. So these people have answered to the question, have heard the answer given to them. When we ask, what shall I do? God will give us the answer. She was given the answer through two ways: reading spiritual, The Imitation of Christ, and praying. Praying constantly, praying with faith. She received the answer that she was looking for, the meaning of her life and what she should do to follow Christ. This is a question that we need to ask several times, because to bring joy to our life, to bring joy to the world, we need to answer the question, what is the meaning of life? What am I doing to bring joy in my life and to others? Am I doing enough or not? Am I living the principles of Catholic faith or not? Am I behaving as Christ would have behaved in his time? These are the questions we need. Another American I told you I would like to bring as an example today is Barack Obama. In his speech this week, when receiving the Nobel Prize for Peace, and a fantastic speech. He's a good, as you know, he is a very, very good speaker. But it's not only his charisma, it's not only the way he put things and the way he says it, but it's the substance of what he says, which is profound, which is important to hear, and which is important to follow. In this speech, he said these words, which I recognize as a message from God, as a message from Christ. He said, "Let us reach for the word that ought to be that spark of the divine." Can you imagine how profound this sentence is? We have to reach to the word. Now, this is a Christ who is appealing to us. John the Baptist, speaking to us. Let us all reach out in our different position. He is the president of the world, or the United States. We are in our position. But we too have the same mission of reaching out to the world, so that we bring out that spark of divine that still stirs within each of our souls. So this Obama is saying in his speech, in each of our souls there is that spark of divine that we need to bring out. This is what brings joy to us and to the world. When we recognize that divine spark in us and bring it out and making a fire and bringing it out all the way, this is the way that we bring Christ to the world. Living the spark of divine in ourselves, resisting temptations, resisting evil, living in righteousness and truly according how Christ has showed us that we should live, and then move out to others and then bring the spark to others with joy, with enthusiasm, with love. This is the message that we have from these two American people, that we should take it as our own, because we need to bring this joy to our heart and to the world at large. God bless you.